All right, and welcome. Texas Boy Studios right here. Let's get it in. So, for this one, we got a banger, okay? Because PFL just bought Bellator. And with the PFL buying Bellator, everything just blew up. Okay, you got a bunch of people in Bellator, and now a bunch of people in PFL. PFL is worth, I think, 400 million, they said it was. So, if the PFL is worth 400 million, and they just bought Bellator, and Saudi Arabia keeps sending money, 100 million is what they invested. So we got little investors, and Viacom is out. Showtime, Bellator, they're done with that. They're not trying to do anything else that has to do with sports or fighting. They don't want no part of it. So with the PFL buying Bellator and the UFC on the horizon of Dana White about to exit, I mean, come on, guys. Like, Dana White has about 10 more years left in the UFC, and somebody else is going to take over. Who's going to take over? Nobody knows. But it looks to seem that PFL is trying to take over of everything right now. PFL is trying to take over the whole game. Okay? Obviously, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, all that stuff over there, they're just trying to, spill a whole bunch of money because they got money to waste, okay? But PFL is a brand that's upcoming now. I love the UFC, okay? Love Dana White, love the UFC. I love the product, I love the production, I love everything about it. I love the fighters, I love the belts, old ones, the new ones. I love the old school, I love the new school. But let's get real. PFL buying Bellator is a big situation, okay? Yes, PFL just announced that back in August. They're going to, in 2024, starting as January 1st, they're going to take over the game. You know what I mean? They're going to run two separate entities, obviously. They're going to run Bellator till 2026, and then they're going to run the PFL. But obviously, with the Bellator brand attached to the PFL, they're going to go up. You know what I mean? There's fighters that they're not going to want. There's fighters that they're going to want. Co-promotion is what the PFL is looking to do. Now that they got the big stars, because none of the stars, unless they leave Bellator, can go anywhere else. Because PFL owns them now. It's not like, they got bought out and got released. Nobody's been released. None of that stuff has happened yet. But it's kind of weird that Usman Nurmagomedov just failed a drug test over in Bellator. So that's just kind of weird right there. Now, there's a couple people over in PFL that just got popped as well. I think some heavyweights and light heavyweights. And with that being said, PFL's not going to be playing those games. They're not going to be playing those excuse me, they're not going to be playing those drug testing games. Okay? If you get drug tested, you get popped, PFL probably kick you. Excuse me, PFL probably kick you. So, PFL buying Bellator. It is crazy. When the UFC bought out Strikeforce in 2011, they ran Strikeforce for a few years, and they got a couple more stars out of that. You know what I mean? Strikeforce, they got Miesha Tate, they got Ronda Rousey, they got Daniel Cormier. I mean, just the list goes on. You know what I mean? The list goes on. They got people, from Pride as well. You know what I mean? And Rising and stuff. So that's how the UFC built their brand. They bought out all the other competition that seemed like competition. The rest of the people that were like regional circuits, they just left them alone. But everybody that they seen as a competition, they bought them out. Everybody has a number. Everybody wants to get paid. So if they say, hey, we'll 100 million, we'll buy you out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's how much they bought it for. But you'll say, okay, 100 million, buy me out. I'll take that money and go somewhere else. I ain't got to deal with this no more. And then the UFC deals with all the stress and builds their brand over the next 20 years, sells for $4.3 billion when it did it without Conor McGregor. Now, there's a lot of stars in Bellator. A couple stars in the PFL. The PFL's brand is nice. It's different. You know what I mean? They got the Rev camera. They got the Ghost camera. The way that their stuff is set up is like almost like a video game, Obviously, they don't sell in big arenas right now, but 2024, they're going to start selling big arenas. They're going to start doing big shows. You got Francis Ngannou, Kayla Harrison. You know, you got people like Sindra Dubois. Like, there's stars over there. You know, you got Impa Kasanye that left UFC, went over there, however that may happen, just got knocked out by Cedric. But, I mean, come on, guys. Like, this buy is the biggest since UFC bought Strikeforce. It is the biggest. There is nothing bigger that's going on right now than that. And then you got places like Showtime, Viacom that owns Showtime and Bellator, and they're like, okay, guys, we're out of here. You know what I mean? We're not going to do no more sports. So, you got to think about where Bellator is going to be in the next 2 years. They're probably going to be on the same platform like ESPN, maybe, as PFL. And just getting on ESPN and staying where the UFC is, that's competition in itself. But the UFC doesn't want to buy out PFL. They don't want to buy out Bellator. They said they see no value in Bellator. I mean, come on, guys. Dana White says if Bellator continues to exist, it's existing for no reason. But, guys, if it's existing for no reason, why did they just get bought out? If it wasn't no value, you got people like AJ McKee, the mercenary. You know what I mean? You got people like the Pitbull brothers. You know what I mean? Like, you got a lot of stars in Bellator. Michael Cheller came from Bellator. You're going to say that Bellator isn't profitable. It's not value. There's no value in buying it. There's no value in buying it. You won't have no more competition of Bellator. That's why the PFL bought Bellator, because PFL is trying to go to that next stage where the UFC is. And you can't do that with Bellator in the way, because Bellator has all the fighters that the UFC doesn't have. You know what I mean? There's the only two American platforms that are at the top of their game right now. And that's PFL and UFC. UFC's worth billions. PFL's worth millions. Hundreds of millions. But they're still a viable company. And they just bought out Bellator, which means they seen value to build their brand. UFC is just doing how they do business. And it's great. Love the product, love the production, love UFC, love Dana White, love everything about it. But the PFL is coming up. 2024, 2025, 2026 is about to be sick for MMA. Like, we are about to get blessed beyond measures. Obviously, you got people that are going to be retiring in the next few years. But there's so much potential, so much talent out there that you just can't even deny it on how good it is. And I can't wait to see what 2024 holds. Because if PFL, if PFL is worth almost $500 million, that's $500 million. Okay? They've been out a few years. It took UFC 20 years to become profitable, like that. Like, there's no other way that you're going to have a company that is reportedly to be $400 million in 2021. That's almost 3 years ago. That means that their product is worth more now, because their product is different than the UFC. The way they view their cameras, the way everything is done, it's the process is the same, but everything is different from the UFC. Like, it's not the same product. You know what I mean? The same product would be Bellator and things like that. This isn't the same product as UFC. They're giving us something different. Okay? Obviously, you got the, playoffs. You got the regular season. You got the playoffs. You got the championships. UFC doesn't have that product. And with that being said, I see them coming up in the next 2 years. I see them being worth at least $1 billion. At least $1 billion, I see them being worth that. So if you think the same, if you don't think the same, leave your likes and your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, and just let me know how it is. Let me know your feedback. Let me know how I'm doing. The lighting. I know the lighting right here has been going off. It's the camera. My bad. But just let me know how it is. Like, subscribe. Please comment. Good, negative, bad, positive. Doesn't matter. Okay? I need all the energy. All the energy. Let's go. All right? Got more videos coming up soon. and I just got to record them. But until then, this is Texas Boy checking in with you. We in Texas Boy Studios. Let's go.